When things aren't black or white, we live our life in the gray.
Millennial conversations about God, church, and culture. I'm Derek.
And this is Luther.
Hello, welcome to the Life in the Gray channel. My name's Derek.
And I'm Luther.
Thank you so much for checking us out. It's good to have you here with us. So, both Luther and I, we reside in South Florida, and we recently went through this little thing, you might have heard of it, called Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, so I'll start with you, Derek. So, in light of the hurricane we just recently went through, where was God during Hurricane Irma?
With just everything going on, I think what I was really thinking about is, man, there are people that have to go through this all the time. Like, it's inconvenient for me, and it's inconvenient for us, but I can't even imagine the fact that there are people who deal with this, with tragedies, with natural disasters like this on a regular basis. You know, I think of Puerto Rico and the Caribbeans and Haiti and all these islands that are really getting hit. And it's just tragic and it's devastating. And so I wonder, where is God? Where is God? And these people must be asking that too. Has God left us? Has he abandoned us? So I don't know. That's difficult for me to answer. What do you think? What was going on in your mind during the whole experience?
I don't know. It was tough for me. One thing that I found really interesting though during the hurricane was a lot of people that usually don't talk with one another came together.
Yes.
And so what you had was neighbors, like even helping other neighbors out with, you know, tree branches around the floor or whatever the case may be. And people that usually don't do life with one another were coming together. Like I know one of our neighbors was just constantly checking on us and vice versa. And it was really nice to see just the unity that happens a lot of times when like natural disasters happen. So.
And maybe that's where God is. Maybe that's where we find God, is when people come together and work in those situations. Maybe that's when we begin to feel his presence more closely.
So Derek, question for you.
Yes.
Do you feel like God is causing some of these natural disasters to happen? Like,
I struggle with that. A lot of people will say that, like, oh, well, God causes storm to happen to show off his power, his might, or to humble us, whatever it is. And I just think that's above our pay grade. I don't think that's our call to make. I personally don't believe in a God who's, you know, quote unquote, their love is like a hurricane where it's just this destructive force.
You hear that in a lot of songs.
Yeah, a lot of songs. And it's like, I don't believe that God's love is destructive. I think it builds us up.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we can even say, but what I believe is that God is present in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And I think he's present, as you said, in the midst of people coming together. Yeah. And I just remember as I began to evaluate my priorities in my life, and I just began to seek God more through that time. And maybe you did as well, if you've been through suffering or tragedies or anything like that. And what I found is that God can be with us, that God, through what we can see when we look at Jesus, who we believe is the face of God, that Jesus comes and he enters into our suffering. He enters into it with us, and he cries out, you know, as he's going to the cross, he's experiencing suffering, and he cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And so many people can feel like they are forsaken when they're going through the storm of life. And Jesus felt it. But what's so beautiful is that very prayer that Jesus echoes from Psalm 22 of David is that we can find God even within those things. And that I believe that the Father did not abandon Jesus, but that God was with Jesus in the midst of that. And I think in the same way, God is with us when we go through suffering, and he comforts us so that we can comfort others. We don't really understand why these things happen, but we know that God can reveal himself through it. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that beautifully said there, Derek. God is with us through our suffering, through our storm. And for anybody out there that's been through a natural disaster, whether it was Hurricane Irma or Harvey or even any kind of natural disaster around your area, like Derek said, God is with us through that.
That's the gospel. That's the good news. You know, that Jesus came, he lived, he revealed God to us. He died identifying with our suffering, forgiving us for the suffering that we inflict on others, and rose to show us that there is a resurrection, there is new life that comes out of suffering and tragedy. And I think that's what we need to keep in mind. Yeah. So,
well, you guys are welcome to share your experience. What was it like for you if you had a natural disaster in your area, or whether it was Hurricane Irma or Hurricane Harvey, whatever it was? We'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts, your reflections with us.
We encourage healthy conversation, nothing destructive or negative towards one another. And please follow us. Please like and subscribe us. Check out our podcast as well, Life in the Gray channel. Thank you so much, and it's good to have you with us. Take care.